Welcome. Waiting for people to come on board. So let everybody come on board. Getting started in just a moment. We're going to be covering border security. So we're going to be covering border security this evening, and also covering a bit that Kathy Wood had said on a financial channel, and I just want you to hear this because it'll help roll into where we're headed this evening. So welcome to it. I'm just giving folks here a moment, and I am also in on chat here. So I'll do my best to keep my eyes on things. Welcome, Joe. How's it going? Good to see you. Deborah and Cindy and Shelba, everybody. It's great to see you guys. We're going to have a wonderful show this evening, especially since I'm dialed in with the chat. Doesn't it change everything? It's that connection that we need, really, to have the kind of cast that you're going to get used to us having here. And it'll be great. And especially this evening, because I'm going to be speaking directly to somebody who's in our group, and just kind of responding to a wonderful person in the group that often posts, and we all post. And there's nothing, I just like having audience appreciation and inclusion, because you're a part of this. We are together on a journey, and for me, this is your Happy Healer Lover journey, and I'm so glad and grateful to have you on it. And welcome. Just great to have you. We're going to be covering border security, and it's an issue. So good day and welcome this Friday. Tonight's live broadcast, it is 7:02 p.m. This is AmericanMantics, and it's great to have you here. So this is the program, the show that will set your soul free and inform you and to get closer to God. And we come in at 7 p.m. sharp for this evening, and every Wednesday and Thursdays and Mondays. And so Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, actually, not Thursday. So be here for that. It'll be an event as we get this moving along. And welcome. Hey, Joe. It's great to see you. And Kat and Warren. So we'll be discussing the kinds of things that, if it was a program, you could sell it literally for like thousands of dollars, and it has that much good in it, and it's all theirs for you, for the taking, and from your Happy Healer Lover, just because I love you. And these are the teachings of your Happy Healer Lover, really, and that's what goes into AmericanMantics. And that's where it was derived from. And so, folks, there's been a slate of undocumented immigrants rushing the southern border, which is a real problem. This is where having an honest voice comes in very handy, helping people see real problems that would otherwise only have media and their expediency, the political expediency, to tell them the false narrative. And it's just not true, the things that they're saying about this. And too many suffer, and we're providing for other countries, and they get the red carpet treatment, really, because opportunities that are not afforded to our own citizens. People that are dying on the street and desperate, yet we are bringing more people in. This is a national security threat, and given our goals are tremendous, this only makes our country weaker, less capable of delivering for its own people. It's a real problem, and that's why being an effective advocate is our motto. Take a look at this video of our border mess that I'm going to be showing you next here. And I want you to see what exactly is going on, and it's really unbelievable. All right, and welcome back. So a lot of that was on Cuba as well, and just showing a lot of the crisis. These folks, they plan on getting on boats and actually coming to the United States, and that's a real concern for our future. And so they're in crisis, and they have to come to America in their mind. So it's, again, folks, this is what is going on right this moment. It's passionate protests continue to take place in South Florida in support of democracy for the Cuban people. For the 6th consecutive day, protesters are taking to the streets. Their human rights activists are joining this mess with the Bay of Pigs Museum, speaking on what's taking place on the island. Advocates said protests were held in Cuba as recently as Thursday, and we're all against a regime that is a killing machine, and our people have achieved 6 days of resistance, says Dr. Orlando, and he's of the Cuban resistance. So he says, don't abandon them. Again, the primary responsibility lies with Cuban armed forces to join the people and bring down the regime. We definitely need the president to continue to up the ante. And I think yesterday, and this was just yesterday, that I think he made was a good statement condemning communism and talking about concrete steps that could be taken to help the Cuban people. And so we need to support those efforts to continue and trying to have concrete steps to help the Cuban people where they are. They're desperate, and they're desperate for help, and it's because their system of communism isn't working. And so they have these 100 small boats to sail 12 miles off the coast of Cuba to show support, and that it was a communist-controlled island that they're going to. And so they'll be doing this on Tuesday night for the makeshift flotilla, of which they hope will make the journey to, they hope to at least have half the vessels setting off from Key West. And so it's 100 miles from the Cuban capital, Havana, and a lot of civil rights concerns there and human abuses. It's something that they really have to come over their own problems. And when you look at the people that are coming from Honduras and Guatemala and the southern countries, it's much of the same problem. They have loved ones here already, and it's a very complicated issue. But yet, just because we love human beings, it doesn't mean that we open up our country. And we have people here that need help and have gone through this crisis recently through COVID and can't get that help. While we want to help these folks, it's unfortunate because there's only so much we can do. And when you have these boats, they're getting in the water, they're talking about, possibly coming to Florida, maybe. The southern border is completely being run over. And then you know why the people really appreciate Donald Trump. because he was strong about that. And there's so much hope and wish that he could be back. And I understand that. I feel that. I wish it for myself too. And I know the systems of communism are dangerous. We couldn't possibly ever have something like that in America. The way we're doing things, we can hardly take care of ourselves. And it's really important that we stay focused on the mission that we're working on, because otherwise we're not going to be able to achieve those goals. And it really jeopardizes a lot. So Donald Trump had a way of dealing with this that people trust. This isn't about politics. And there's a real show of support to President Trump because of this issue. And they're not. The problem is there's nefarious acts going on here. There's an effort to bring more people here to make a political statement, and it's tearing apart this country. And we already have a soft civil disobedience, war perhaps. And how much more of this can we take? You really have to ask yourself, how much more can we take of this stuff? And if you have any questions, I want you to pose them, because I do have chat right in front of me and I'm watching it. And so I want you to use that function and be willing to get into the conversation and be a part of this. Because a lot of people don't understand what's happening, but also why it's so important to those of us that it's important to. And it's so important to us that President Trump being out of this country, no longer president, it makes people feel like they're not at ease. And they're worried about what's going to happen next, because when you count this stuff up, it's a lot. And when you look at the election irregularities that were there, and there's a lot of points that are valid that you would consider an upstanding citizen to do and to be. So angry about what's going on in this country, and to respond about that in whatever ways it's necessary to save their country. That's what I've learned. That's the truth. People are willing to fight for their country, and they feel like now is a time to be concerned about. I talked about this, and I don't mean just last week either. I've been talking about this for years, the effects that this soft civil war is having. And that's what it is, folks. I mean, we can call it whatever we want, but there are vast problems that wouldn't exist otherwise if it wasn't for the fact that we are in a soft civil war. What can we do about that? How can we change it? We have to change it. Can you imagine what the world and what this country is going to look like in another 50 years if we don't change that? If we don't get to that work? How long can we remain a divided nation? That's the question that AmericanMantics poses. Before it's too late, and before some of these big issues hit us, they're already hitting us. We see what's happening with the border crisis. And on one end, we care so much. We are a melting pot of all sorts of Americans from all walks of life already. But on the other end, we have our own national security issues. Issues that need to be dealt with, and they're of a major concern. If we fail in doing that, we might lose forever our freedoms and the ability to have freedoms. And these are things that AmericanMantics gets right down to the crux with. Let's face it, that's why you're so concerned. You're so concerned. It's working you up. It's working all of us up. And to think that our country's being torn apart, but that it doesn't have to be that way, that there's another way, that's hard to live with. And an interesting thing is, in our group, in our audience, in our community, we're 60% female, which I like, because as your HappyHealer lover, I'm always looking at things with compassion. And women, especially conservative women, especially women who love God, and they have family virtues and values, yeah, they're good company. I appreciate you, women. You're my favorite. And that you appreciate the compassion is just a gift that I think comes from God Almighty for you. That wonderful gift. It's so sweet. It makes you sweet. And it really is from God Almighty. And I know I have gifts too. Your HappyHealer lover has gifts. And also hard times. And that's what I talk to. The truth. These hard times. And they're so incredibly hard. They don't need to be that hard, and for so many people. I know myself. I live in Happy Forest Mini, and it's a minivan. And I also have Happy Forest One, but there's a lot of story behind this. And I don't want to get into it because it's so long. And then we'll be here talking about that and not cover everything we need to do. And we have 2 more videos we're playing for you this evening, including the one I promised you earlier about how I cook my food from Happy Forest Mini. And by the way, you'll learn different talents yourself with living outdoors, if you're doing tenting, keeping clean, all kinds of different ways that you can survive and be strong and be independent and serve God Almighty. And quite frankly, that's my lifestyle. That's what makes me happy. But at the same point, I live a modest life. I can appreciate a modest life. It allows me the gift of serving and doing the things that are important in this life. Life flashes by fast. If you don't do the things that are important to your heart, you're going to find yourself at the end of your life questioning why you never did all the things that were so important to you. And the beautiful thing about AmericanMantics being a great system of love and truth over greed hell, but that it incorporates these living, positive, living ways and standards that allow for you to have greater enhanced living. And it's not something that takes long either. You can put it to work right away. These gifts, I call them, and they are gifts when the most awful things happen. And they do in this life, you're empowered with how AmericanMantics will teach you and the virtues of happy healing, because it'll keep you more capable on dealing with what's most important in your life right now, mainly. And that you'll be prepared to work with your brethren, with other people around you for unity. You'll understand the cause is so great that we must find a way there. So you'll become skilled in the art of creating unity in your own environment. This is how we make a stronger country from the bottom down. But you can't be foolish doing that. You've got to have a good system, standard, because as you become stronger and you're encouraging unity, that's going to eventually have a pinnacle somewhere. That's going to have a huge amount of power, capable of doing so much for people. That's how we build our power in AmericanMantics. And the thing is it's got to have such sweetheart goals. And I remember you guys were talking, I don't know which one, maybe it was David who mentioned, or maybe it was Randy, who mentioned that we have to have goals. They're so important. Without goals, you can't have a national unified mission. And so that's really what you need. And these missions, they can't be born in corruption, not even close. That's why it takes being free of corruption from the bottom to develop this type of unity that is for themselves and have that power, knowing what it's about with strong conviction. It's an ideology of sorts, really, of God Almighty, really. It's love and truth. And if you think about it, and I challenge you, I really do challenge you, first to have an open heart and an open mind, but then second, to think of love and truth as a combo package. You don't take one without the other. And let me explain why you don't ever want to do that. It's tragic when you do that. If you have love only without truth, you know what happens to you? You get trampled on. A true story. Nice Guys. This is actually the story of where nice guys finish last. Don't you agree, Lewis? That's why nice guys finish last, is because they learned how to love, but they're not right up on their truth yet. But then let's say you take it from the other perspective. You have all truth, nothing but truth, but no love. This is how you get Adolf Hitler. This is how you get the extreme environments that we've seen. AmericanMantics brings it together as a package deal. You get both love and truth. And whenever you're deciding things for your life, you don't just use one or the other. You have to use both and guide your life within the confines of those qualities. And your life will improve in every imaginable way. Just ask yourself, does this measure up to what I know in my own heart, God put it there, of what love means to me and what I've learned, and if I need to reach out to other loving individuals? And am I true to that? And am I true to the God's honest truth? Not what I think or say or want it to be, because that won't help me grow or be effective for President Trump. be effective for helping him get elected, or to be effective for helping to do anything in your life. And truth will keep you honest with yourself, and that's so important. And love will keep you compassionate, so you don't run away doing bad things in life. You don't get in trouble. And so these things allow you to be as bold as you like within the confines of love and truth. And that is such a free life, working so hard for the embetterment of society. That's what we want to build. And that's what AmericanMantics, and by the way, I told you we have a long show this evening. We're going to be talking about AmericanMantics, and we have a lot of other stuff we're going to be talking about. So thank you for being patient, and we're going to get into all this stuff right now. We're going to move on to our next subject here. And I want to show a video, actually. This is me cooking, and of course, you have your various ways you could do that, but this is how I do it. Bear with me. Let's see, there we go. Here we go. This is me cooking. That's it, yummy time. Oh yeah, yummy, 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 tummy, tummy, yummy, tummy. Much love to my lovers out there. I hope you're doing good. Welcome to Mini Force 1, where we don't play around, we get it done. That was some chicken Alfredo. Pretty yummy stuff too, I have to say. And the thing about it is, this cooks really nicely. I have it was pretty frozen, so I put it in there a couple of times. Okay, we're just gonna put it back in for a little bit here. And folks, coming up after this, we're going to be talking about Cathie Wood. I want to show you a video with her. So we're going to talk about Cathie Wood because I would like to show you a video with her. Okay, so now, without further ado, let's transition. Here is Cathie Wood, maybe.
Cathie Wood. Yeah.
Okay.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you out.
I was just going to say, so, our top names, as usual, Tesla's at the head of the pack. Roku is a very important name to us. Square, Zoom, Shopify, Teladoc. Many of them are described as stay-at-home stocks, and why, we're going back to work. Why are you paying attention to them? What we believe is the world, coronavirus crisis changed the world dramatically and permanently. And when consumers and businesses find faster, cheaper, better, more productive, more creative, they're not going back to the old world. So many of these stocks have been cut in half and then some, because there have been algorithms.
Now, do you notice she says here, we're not going back to the old world. So I don't want you to get confused. And remember, she's well respected. And when it comes to AmericanMantics, we have to unwrap this stuff in a way that we can't be mocked. Mocking power from that mocking devil. It'll try and pull its head out every now and again, but your happy healer lover is real talented on how to get it back on in there. So don't you worry, because mocking devils never stick around too long with your happy healer lover, because we don't get embarrassed with their mocking powers. That's something that people who don't have humility and who are not humble do, because they have all these fears. When you have AmericanMantics working in your life, then you have conquered your fears. You, in every sense of the word, are stronger than you have ever been before, because you have a better understanding of what's most important to you in this world. And that's what higher living is made of. And that's what is so special about this. And I say, just listen to the various aspects of what AmericanMantics is, because at the heart of it, it's a miracle, really. It's God's miracle of love and truth, and the power of those two elements together, and how deeply they go and how much they can solve. And never forget that it's God's love and truth, and how many areas in truth that it brings together. It brings everything from our founding documents to our current place now to the next 50 years is described in almost detail when you understand God's love and truth. Remember, this world is God's world. So when you're witnessing anything, you're witnessing God's truth. And it's for you to respect and allow God's truth to work for you in your life, because you are yourself a creator, and you are always innovative in your own mind, imagining, and the creative elements are firing up all the time. And you want that to be free, and you want that to be working properly. In greed hell, it doesn't work properly, I assure you of that. We put so many blocks in front of these things, you couldn't possibly understand how much of your full human element that you're missing out on. Does that make sense? And oh my goodness, it's so true. So I want you to listen to some of these real, respected, talented financial advisors who are themselves in charge of billions of dollars, who are talented in speaking specifically about where the future is going, has a strong track record of having been right so many times. And this is Wall Street's game. And so these folks are talented in understanding what's happening in Wall Street. And so when they see the various signals, they know what's happening. And she believes strongly in the future of technology, because it is what, in my view, it's a gift from God. It's coming straight out of our intellect and ability. People that are my atheist friends often question, how can there be a God? Prove to me that there's a God. Prove that. Like you can. Actually, I feel there is proof, life and everything, and I've seen miracles, and I could really get going on that question of miracles and proof and stuff like that. But essentially, when you get down to it, it's as simple as, look how favored we are in this environment we call life. Some people refer to it as reality. We're so incredibly favored. Never forget that we can speak and communicate with one another so we can express our will. And this is that invisible power going back and forth. And we are the energy within. We are that soul power. And we're always communicating and wanting and pushing and developing and making new contacts. And that's why that feels so good, because we're a social species. And whenever we accomplish anything special or big, we're doing it together, and we're doing it in trust and love. You know, many of my conservative friends, for example, they're very worried and concerned about progress in general, because what that means for life. And the feeling is, the more power you give to government, in greed hell, obviously, the more that greed hell, this evil force that's operating on everybody's minds. It's how the stock market itself works, and it works on greed and fear. It wouldn't know what to do with love and courage and this other stuff we talk about. It has no idea about that stuff. And that's the problem with greed hell. And it's for us to change that. And it has to be for a ground up movement. And it has to be, once you get up there, to have substantial power and a unity that's driving you there. That's so important. And then you're fully clued in to doing great big things to change the fortunes of the people who have for so long have been forgotten. There's a way. And in this way, there are so many avenues by which you build upon. And I know a lot about finance, and I've studied the stock market, and trust me, I know the pitfalls of the stock market. I know why so many people get in it. They get blue about it, especially if they're trying to do it as a job, or if they're trying to make an income on the side. Then they realize how cunning that market is. You know, actually, the stock market is supposed to be an avenue for American businesses focused on supplying the needs of America's people back to the people, and that this market is to be invested in by those people, that we build and we trust and we invest in the companies that are serving to our needs. And so the thinking is that these companies do well at serving our needs. We do well at investing, and that the investment appreciates continuously, and that this cycle becomes like is what often you hear Warren Buffett referred to as our golden egg. And this is not that much of a golden egg in greed hell, the way I see it. With all of this pessimism and companies serving to themselves rather than the people they're supposed to serve to, and the people that are investing in them losing faith, and for good reason, and that love isn't the way. And so that if love was the fire behind activity, we would have such a better outcome. And that's actually, honest to God, reasonable and built-in ground level with real concrete examples on how and why love is the stronger force. And remember, love is always, together with truth, the strongest force that you could imagine. And so that's where we accomplish so much. And when you get into it all, quite frankly, the stock market has a way of building value fast. And we lose and we miss so much value in the stock market just because we don't. I'm looking at comments, by the way. I'm looking if anybody's asking any questions. We don't do our very best, and that's the problem. And so one of the things that conservatives often say is that it's really important to work hard. You don't want to be lazy. You want to do your best. It's important to get our best that we can do, to get that to be our reality. And why do conservatives feel that way? They want the best outcome for Americans and for themselves. So it makes sense. And that by doing that, they're living up to their own virtues, that they're being efficient. They're not wasting anything that could have gone to somebody's dinner that evening or to a contribution for some good cause. Everything is being utilized in an efficient manner to the conservative. That's what they want most. And I understand that. And that's what AmericanMantics is. And the thing about it is, because the conservative is so loving and ideally wants the best deal for people, except for will not be caught up in some grandiose, fake, utopian world, but rather something that's grounded in reality. That's so important. And so then, when you can give something grounded in reality, but that also supplies for the people and does it in a way that's close to God and loving God, because we also know us conservatives in that way understand the value of our Creator and one another and this sacred value of life. And so this is ultimately what AmericanMantics does, is because it becomes very empowered and it's taking care of people. And because it skips 50 years of this slow greed hell progress, because that's how much more efficient AmericanMantics is, then we can get right into taking the best care of people in ways that are not possible currently. And that right now we're heading off a cliff currently. And that for people who want to be the mockingbird or the mocking devil, then I would say that ungodful civil war that is going to take us straight off a cliff has no end in sight. You tell me where the end is, and I'll tell you where the end is. AmericanMantics. And guess what? I've said that same thing 2 years ago. I said it 2 years before that, and I said it 2 years before that. And guess what? We've been progressively only getting worse. So where is it going to end? I think the honest truth here is bad. And already many people, you hear them talking about, oh, a civil war. I think it's time for a civil war. It's time to get armed. Or, I say AmericanMantics has the way forward. We use God's love and truth. It's such a powerful force. And that we incorporate real ideas and we question them. We make sure that they're possible. And we start from the bottom and we work our way up so that people can question and really feel these things out. And that's how it works so well. And so let's go ahead and go back to Kathy Wood.
Faster, cheaper, better, more productive,
Faster,
more
cheaper,
creative.
better.
They're not going back to the old world. So many of these stocks have been cut in half and then some, because there have been algorithms saying they're stay-at-home stocks, sell them. We think that's a mistake.
Cat.
That's right. So let me go ahead and switch back to the larger screen here. Yeah, so a lot of these stay-at-home stocks, people are already learning and enjoying, many of you, your new lifestyle at home. You want your job to be at home. You want to be able to do your best providing a service that you couldn't even do as well at another building. You prefer to do it at home. And that's what people are saying. People don't want to do thankless jobs. That's why robotics and engineering is a gift, because entering into this new world that Kathy Wood is talking about is not something that if we slow down on, the rest of the world is going to slow down on. Or if we want to tippy-toe because we're afraid of God's gifts, because everything's God's gift. We just have to learn how to channel the right energies, love and truth. Love and truth, not one or the other. Excuse-moi. Probiotics. Make sure you keep your probiotics handy and eat your yummy yogurt yummies for HappyHealer yummies. The right diet for your HappyHealer lover. I love you. I miss my brother too. Oh gosh. He died a few months ago. It never had to happen. We'll be talking about it on AmericanMantics. Some things are just so sad. Why? Why do they ever have to be that way? Why, oh why? They never had to be that way. I tell you so. I just know it's so true. Won't you listen to me? I'm looking at you. I can see the truth, and it's so true. And I don't understand when the hate and the hell and the hurting and the dying, when it can end. So many people, they're feeling pressure and they're becoming the things they become, and they're hating each other because they're under pressure, because the stress is overwhelming. When are you going to do something about that overwhelming pressure? When? And that's what AmericanMantics is about, folks. How long are we going to live in this insanity? This is so insane. It's so insane. How long are we going to continue the insanity? Can't you hear the whole choir right now? How long are you going to continue the insanity? That's not what America's about. Oh no, America, it's about, oh say can you see by the dawn's early light, oh so brightly. That's what America's about. America's about love and American spirit and one nation under God and its freedoms. But yet, what are we experiencing? And it's just so hard on people. So that's what AmericanMantics is to take care of and will continue to be taken care of. I think it's important that we take a moment at this time to discuss all of that stuff about AmericanMantics and how it can help us become more capable to deal with so many more issues than what we can even witness right now. Because as we go, it's so important that we understand the real advanced gift that AmericanMantics is. And then we can... There's only one AmericanMantics. It's like your soulmate. We'll go over a lot more empowerment stuff in future casts as well. And I cover current affairs whereby I use AmericanMantics to contrast the differences between AmericanMantics and the other parts of Greed Hell. Because this world is experienced by all of us. And the devil has a checkmate, and that's that greed runs the world. But it's not a foregone conclusion. We've advanced this whole way. And that's a clear basis for our progression. And don't despair, our series on unchecked greed, starring your favorite greedy candidate for governor, Meaty McGreedy himself, Kevin Paffrath, who goes by Me Kevin so he can manipulate how his audience sees him. We'll be airing our Unchecked Greed series, which will air July 23rd on Friday, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the cast of AmericanMantics. Don't miss it. It'll cover awesome insights into the failings and the overwhelming greed that exists and is tearing our nation apart from the seams. It's widespread in people. Nobody are talking about the greed problem. And it's the problem that's most affecting him. And we'll show it in its full harmony. And the things that you'll learn will only show you the need of AmericanMantics that much more. The system of God's love and truth. But also, and yet, it's so much more than you would imagine. And just because things have been a little quiet on the unchecked greed star himself, Kevin Paffrath, Democrat for governor of the state of California, like I said, don't be in despair. For the next installment of Unchecked Greed series from AmericanMantics is here, coming up next Monday at 7 p.m. only on AmericanMantics live, might add. And did I say that already? Of course I did, because it's important. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, a new live cast events will be held, and there will be time for audience participation, just like we're looking at here. And I want to say hi to you. I love you. And so please ask during the show. Try to keep it oriented to the discussion of the show. And it's more likely that I can answer it as I go, although I'll probably answer it anyway. Otherwise, at points, there'll be Q&As where any questions are permitted. And so there'll always be new and exciting content, and they'll be in the Unchecked Greed series. The idea is to have accurate, fair, and effective accounting of the facts. And the point isn't to beat up on anyone. It's a chance to hold election officials accountable to their responsibilities to the people and to make them aware of what is possible otherwise. While if they choose to disparage AmericanMantics, and your HappyHealer is always eager to debate the system equal to that of our Creator. That's no problem. The system of compassion and facts, or love and trust, and care of courage against the only other alternative system of enticement. That's what it is. And yeah, it's the system of motive. What gets us moving best and most often before you can have a system, even of any governance, you need a system of enticement. It makes sense, right? Of motive. It's not like we haven't had one all this time. We have. And it's been at a lower emotional IQ level that argues with itself constantly and has lots of fear and greed and subsequent death, really. The truth of the powers speak volumes to what it is. And God puts truth for us to witness, to see and learn from. So all the devil can ever do is pervert that truth and manipulate that truth. It's a system of fear and greed that is called greed hell. You see, in greed hell, the stock market does operate on greed and fear. All of its relationships operate on greed and fear. The system of God's love is the other system of enticement operating on love and appreciation, courage and care. These are all extreme opposites and at two complete different ends of the spectrum. They're the energies of good and evil. Actually, they're putting these energies out there instead of greed, realizing our human values counts and has many extra benefits, and recognize so we can end abortion and to change the world and our prospects in it and our lives by what public servants are versus what they should be. And of course, this applies to every aspect of life, including in greed hell and otherwise. All jobs. It's the first life choice. Before we even decide what system of government to follow, we have to decide our system of enticement. And I'm for the free democracy that lives by the virtues of human value. I only want that better, an increased human value. A higher quality life for people. People that serve God by building a happier, better society that allows for increased human interaction and appreciation. And the world that comes out of that, which we see today, and is the more advanced and capable world. Our country and happier people. Our advancement that compounds human achievement while empowering a greater ability to problem solving, never increasing human development and advancement, which is empowerment. Nature being what it is, humanity, they show love. Perhaps that's the logical answer to the old age question. Why are we here? To love and experience a happy life. Realizing that to value humanity is to value the human experience of life lived by humanity. AmericanMantics is rooted from Americans, my country so close to my heart, so central to my being. Having traveled around the world, I know how lucky we are to have this safe, vibrant, melting pot of wonderful people from all over the world. We are lucky for that. We are more enlightened for that. We are greater and better off for that. These are people who all love America, We are all immigrants in that way, loving and valuing our nation enough to care about its honest and robust success, because we know that these people have purpose and value. All of them are God's people. Many of them are outstanding and so grateful for their place in this world. They are great people, and that many of them are not doing so well. And they are of all races and ethnicities, really. That's just yet one more beauty to our country to consider. We represent like no other country. Every other country in a robust and powerful growing environment doesn't have that. And perhaps that's why God has chosen America for being the most powerful and consequential. It's no mistake that we are one nation under God, because we are expected to act as a single nation and to be united in spirit, and with a strong constitution to keep that power as strong as it needs to be in order to serve to the times that we're in. The more united that we are, the more capable our leaders are. Our great objective is to become united and to get busy building the new world. That's our purpose. That's our reason for being God's people. It's our job to be pragmatic about it all, to realize that as conservatives, we want good and healthy lives. We want the best deal for our families. We want great opportunities. We want to grow and be challenged. Though, out of it all, we want happy lives. We want to live robust lives that have material expansion and development growing outward, expanding, expressing our creativity, growing as a human family, realizing we use love to the greatest effect. After all, that is where you get the greatest effect from a safe unity that works to the ability of our collective to serve back to our many needs. We have to fast forward America progress, Americans progress, and actually that is the new future. Just as we were speaking about with Kathy Wood, she knows it's time we fast forward to the future. That's what China is already doing and has been doing for a long time. We must fast forward to the future, and because it will be powerful, we must get greed, the devil's energy, out of the picture. In the world of energies, it's where all the corrupt, evil acts are born, and therefore they are what they show themselves to be. Trust when you see what it says to be of itself, and then you'll know what it truly is. And what it says itself is, it's about the most corrupt actions, and it's all over. When you see it, you know it for what it is. Okay, folks, what I would like to do is just kind of do a little shout out here. I don't know if I'm saying your name right, but Diana Bodner, it's great to see you. Your HappyHealer loves you. And Dorothy Afsar, I don't know how to pronounce everybody's names, but Randy Carmichael, Roxana Lester, it's good to see you. Kathy Weller, it's great to see you guys. And so what I would like to do now is just kind of respond with love to one of our beautiful group members. We've been going for quite a while now, for over an hour. Time flies with your HappyHealer lover. All right, here we go. And so This is going to be responding to a beautiful member within our little loving society. And I love all of you. It's not just picking favorites. If you thought it was you, maybe it'll be you next time, if not this time. And so just keep that in mind. I care about and love you all. Joyce Punk, thank you, Joyce. Less than 3 for that wonderful comment that you left me. I appreciate you so much, Joyce. You're brilliant that you understand the power of this approach that we're using with God's love and truth. It's all around us. It's the perfect way to go, isn't it, Joyce? I mean, we're far from perfect. We're full of flaws, and yet in greed hell, many pretend to be perfect, don't they? Like our condescending candidates who make it all about their own careers versus ordinary people. For me, it's like their blemishes on their records are always coming out. They're often proven not to be as perfect as they claimed when they got elected. They get caught in this way or that way, and it totally shatters their public image. Why? Because of lies, and they claim to be perfect. We are a testament to ourselves and each other that when we seek perfection, it was never perfection that we needed. What we needed was to rely on God's powers, truth and love. They have such concrete and clear answers for us all. Greed is a weak force, and it demands everything. And it can't otherwise get cooperation. And that's a unity that China has. It's one built on force. America's challenge is to figure out how to also do a unity that gets massive big plans done for our country to benefit, to serve to the true value of the people. That kind of unity that not only competes with China, but smashes its ability to actually solve our people's pain. And it's a unified force that can keep us safe. We're never meant to be anything but we are. An interdependent, loving species. It even says it in the Bible. Our social standards are God's plan. We socialize and need one another for emotional support and love, and often don't get it. People don't have time for one another. They're too pursuing greed's plans that takes value away from human beings, the result of which further gives power to the fear paradox that runs this world. I call greed hell because I know we could do so much better, and therefore we must have a powerful ability that only comes with a strong spirit, realizing that together our unity builds on American spirit that is strong and can keep people together for the causes that make us better. Truth keeps us humble, and unlike crazy cults that are commonplace in greed hell, we experience real self-determination because we know what is most true at the heart of all of our dreams is happiness, love, and better times for us all. With a strong American spirit expressing its freedom, self-determination, and that wish to build and love and create like we've never seen before. This is literally how you bring on the world of abundance that serves all people, that lifts the spiritual assist, and it can help inspire in that endeavor, in part because they see their own value proven positive all around them. Love is a force that feeds itself and grows. And that, of course, is the power of our loving Creator. And in our founding documents so long ago, even that they said then it was one nation under God, that was so important, yet brilliant for then. And it continues to elude us now. So what is the answer then is as clear as it gets. God is love and truth. The devil is greed and fear. And of course, many extra energies go with each force, like lies and hate are all part of that hell. Though courage, care, and help are all part of God's loving force. These are happy healing virtues. In AmericanMantics, I have been incorporating everything I've learned and know in business with all that I've been inspired to learn about in God's love and truth, having experienced so many hardships, trials, and tribulations, but also great times, and ended up in every possible scenario you can imagine. I have a pretty good perception of what's actually happening in America to realize that I don't know everything. The world is so massive, and you can't sell it off cheap, or the people in it cheap. That is what greed hell does. We can get things done. That's what we're challenged to do. It's many more times powerful than greed could ever hope to be. And yet greed runs the world. And the other logical option is that love and trust together with truth is a strong force. And I did that deep thinking. I know what I'm talking about. This is the only truth that matters when it comes down to it all, really. Greed gets it all wrong. That's why things keep messing it up, and when we try for better, we always fail. It's so wrong the way the devil's so cunning. Everything here is God's creation, and He intends for us to live a happy life. And it sounds so simple, but I assure you, there's answers for everything. And the main difference is human value actually matters. Right now we have none. Money values. And when we get to fix, people start feeling and living the love. It's beautiful. I so know it's so true, and I promise you, you'll love it too. And that's what we're working for in the great new plan of AmericanMantics. So I always say, just give a moment for your happy healer lover to be heard on all of the topics that we discuss, and we discuss current events and where I stand on those current events, and of course how happy healing fits into those current events, and how together we can learn what's best in order to develop a meaningful repertoire of knowledge that helps us see for ourselves these same signs. And I've been personally attributed to having helped hundreds of people already in seeing the world in a new way. And it's worked for them, and it's made their lives better. And so it works for me, it works for them, it can work for you too, and it can work for us all. And it's not about taking credit for anything, it's just about getting things right. Getting it right is so much more important. That's where my happy life is too, you know. All right, folks, that's it. I love you so much, and God bless you so much. This will be back. AmericanMantics will be back on Monday. We'll be looking forward to seeing you then. And on Friday, we'll be back with AmericanMantics, the Unchecked Greed series, discussing what's going on with Meaty McGreedy and all of his indiscretions and greed, and how he just takes greed and runs with it. One of these ambitious types. And man, jeez. Okay, folks, we'll see you next week.